Hey, everyone, and welcome back. Global wealth inequality is one of those things, right? Feels huge, kind of abstract,
Absolutely, yeah.
but we're diving right in today. We've got this list, straight up ranking of countries by their wealth inequality scores, and honestly, super interesting stuff in here.
Oh, for sure. I think people might be surprised where some countries land.
Right, okay, so top of the list, boom, South Africa, score of 54.9, which, gotta admit, makes you think about their history, all that.
Yeah, no, that 54.9, that's their Giannini coefficient. Basically, it's a way to measure income distribution. 0 means everyone's equal, 100 means one person's got everything.
So lower is better, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But with South Africa, that high score, there's got to be more to it. Apartheid, right. That's still going to be a factor, even now.
Huge factor. Officially ended in 94, but the thing is, apartheid, it was designed to hold black South Africans back. Education, owning land, all of it. And those disadvantages, they don't just vanish overnight.
It's like decades later, that ripple effect is still going.
Exactly. Land ownership, that's a big one. People were forced off their land, and many still don't own any. You can't generate wealth, build for the future, without that foundation.
Wow, okay. So then, flip side, the Netherlands, they're at the bottom, which I guess is good, right? 13.2, that's their score? Totally different story.
Night and day, almost. And a lot of it comes down to their social safety nets. They're really strong housing, healthcare, education. It's all affordable, accessible, so even folks at the lower end, they're not totally cut off from opportunities.
So it's less about a few at the top, more about bringing everyone up together.
Exactly. Like, look at their housing. They have a big social housing sector. People with lower incomes can still find safe, affordable places to live. It's not like here or even South Africa where you see so much housing insecurity, people struggling just to have a decent place to live.
So we've gone from like one extreme to the other there.
Right.
South Africa with this really stark inequality, and the Netherlands trying to lift everyone up. But I'm guessing most countries are somewhere in between, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just high inequality or low inequality. There's so much nuance. It's fascinating. And honestly, some of the rankings, they really make you stop and think.
Yeah. Like what? Give me some curveballs in this list.
Okay, so United States. Their score is 34.9, which, for a wealthy country, a developed nation, you'd maybe expect it to be lower.
Oh, interesting. Okay, and how does that compare to somewhere like China? Because I always figured with their economy booming, that must mean inequality is going up too.
You're not wrong. China's had huge growth, but that's come with a cost. More inequality for sure. Thing is, the U.S. has its own issues. Historical racial discrimination's played a part, big time. Plus, you've got the tax system, often favors the wealthy, and social mobility is not what it used to be. Harder to move up the ladder.
So it's like different paths, same problem, kind of.
In a way, yeah. Both those countries show how this isn't about one type of economy, one political system. Inequality, it's global, man. Loads of factors feeding into it.
Makes you think. Okay, this is a weird one for me, Namibia. Their score is actually higher than the UAE, which just seems off.
Right, Namibia, they're still dealing with the legacy of colonialism, apartheid too. Similar to South Africa, actually.
Yeah.
Huge economic divides that haven't gone away.
And land ownership, that's still a big deal there, right? Like, it's holding people back.
Absolutely. It's a huge point of contention, even now, so many years after independence. But the UAE, that's a whole different story.
Well, yeah, oil money, right? Super luxurious lifestyle. You think of Dubai. How does that even work?
They've definitely benefited from the oil, no doubt, but they've also been smart, trying to diversify their economy, investing in social programs. So it's not all going to the top. That said, there are still problems. Migrant workers, for example, their rights, how they're treated, that needs work.
So much to unpack here. We've gone from South Africa, the Netherlands, even tossed in the U.S., China, Namibia, UAE. It's kind of like, how big is this problem, really?
Yeah, and that's just it, isn't it? It's not about pointing fingers saying this country's good, that one's bad. We're talking about these massive, complex systems built up over time.
Right, right. So, big picture time. If you had to find some kind of pattern in all this, what stands out? From this list, I mean.
Well, you often see developing nations, especially the ones with, a history of colonialism, they tend to have higher inequality. Makes sense when you think about it.
Because of the legacy of all that. Like,
Yeah.
it still affects them today.
Exactly. Exploitation, lack of access to resources, power imbalances. Those things have a long tail. It's not like independence magically fixes everything. But that said, it's not a perfect rule. there are outliers.
And then you've got globalization, all the technology changing things so fast. Bet that plays into it too.
Huge factor. I mean, it's brought a lot of growth, but it's also made inequality worse, both within countries and between them. It's a two-sided coin, that's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So where do we even go from here? It feels like we're still figuring this whole thing out as we go.
We are, but that's why these conversations are so important. It's not enough to just see the problem, right? We have to talk about solutions. What can governments do? What about social programs? Even just cultural attitudes, how we view wealth, all of that matters.
It's what you were saying before. It's not about judgment. It's about understanding.
Exactly. And hopefully finding ways to create a fairer system for everyone.
Couldn't agree more. So to everyone listening, we got to ask, where does your country fit into all of this? What's the story there? What could change for the better? This list, it's just a starting point, one moment in time. The real work, that's on all of us to figure out. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.